Okay, now I'm going to show you how to load a roll of exposed 35mm film that's inside this canister right now into a developing tank. This is a tank that we can use to develop film in a lighted area. So, for instance, I could be processing the film in this room right now. Now, everything that I'm about to show you would actually need to take place in a dark area, a completely dark area. Okay, but in order to be able to show you, of course, I'm doing it out in complete daylight here. But everything that I'm about to show you now should be done in a completely dark area. Film is sensitive to all light. It's panchromatic, so we cannot expose it to light. But basically, what we need to do is get the film from inside this canister into here. Now, what's inside here? This is a developing tank that we're going to use to process the film. And it's designed to hold chemistry, to hold the developer, the stop bath, and the fixer that we need to process the film. So it has a lid on the top, a plastic lid, okay, which I'm going to take off. And then it's also got a light-tight baffle on the top here. This baffle basically means that light is not entering the canister right now. However, you'll notice that there are some openings here and here to allow chemistry to be poured inside, and when we're done with the chemistry, we can pour it back out, but the light is not able to enter. Okay? I can take off this top, okay? And inside here now are two reels. These are developing film reels. Okay? This is what we're going to be threading the film on in a spiral fashion, and then we're going to be putting it all back inside the light-proof canister when we're done, into the tank. So here's basically what's going to happen. And again, this would all be happening in complete darkness. Okay? I'm going to take this out. This developing tank is capable of processing 2 rolls of 35mm film. So I'm going to take the reels off rather. This is a spindle that stays in the middle to hold them in place. I'm going to set it aside for a moment. So in the dark area, what I would need to do here, I'm only going to need 1 reel because we're only using 1 roll of film at the moment. But I'm going to need to thread the film, start it through these little guides, and then essentially, in a sense, almost kind of roll the film onto the spool. And here's how it's going to work. I'm going to take my film canister. Now this canister happens to be a plastic one that has screw cap lids, and they simply screw off quite easily to give us access to the film. If it were a commercial film canister that's metal and they have pinched metal caps, you might need something like a bottle opener to be able to pry the cap off. Okay, but I won't need that today. I can undo the screw cap, pull out the film, okay, and we're going to make our best effort here not to come in contact with the film too much either, because that's not going to be good for the surface of the film. We could scratch or damage it. Okay. So I'm going to leave the film. Right now, all of this film would already be exposed from loading the camera, so I'm okay touching it. But what I'm going to do here, I'm going to be loading the film through these little guides, and you'll notice that the film already starts to thread through the guides. Helps often, sorry, I should show you, helps often to cut the uneven leader off the film. So you notice I brought a little pair of scissors here as well. So I can cut that leader off, just to make it a little bit easier to thread. And again here, I'm going to push the film on through the 2 guides here. There are 2 small, very small ball bearings, almost impossible to see probably from the camera's point of view, but 2 small ball bearings here that help to drop into the sprocket holes of the film to be able to advance it. Okay? And then what I'm going to simply do here is just keep twisting the canister, or pardon me, the reel. And that's having the effect of slowly pulling the film inch by inch onto the reel. Now this one happens to be going fairly smoothly. Occasionally, if the film is quite curled, sometimes I will make a very light V shape, very light because I don't want to scratch the film, just to help guide it along. And inch by inch the film is being, in a sense, eaten and pulled onto the reel. At the end here, this happens to be masking tape, so it should be fairly easy to simply pull this tape off. You don't want to just tear it. You don't want to leave that tape on the actual film because it could, when it gets wet, come off, and then you'll have sticky tape particles floating inside, which isn't good. Advance it a little bit further so that the film is totally onto the reel. Okay? And You'll know the process worked if everything is working nice and smoothly and loose. If it gets extremely tight at some point, there's a good chance it's come off the track here, so to speak, on the reel, and you might want to take the reel apart and do that all over again. If you needed to take it apart, that can be done. I'll use this reel as an example. Most of the reels, depending on their design, will allow you to simply keep twisting the reel, and it could be a clockwise or counterclockwise position. In this case, it's more clockwise. If I twist it hard enough, the reel will actually come apart. Okay? This is in fact how we'll get the film off the tank or off the reel afterward. Okay? So if I had trouble with this one, I could take it apart in the dark and start the whole process again if I was concerned. In this case, I think it's going to work fine. We don't want to have the film in contact with itself anywhere. Okay? If it were to be stuck to itself somewhere, chemical won't be able to find its way around the film, and it won't have even development. But in this case, I think it's okay. I'm ready to load it back into our light-proof canister. I need to use this spindle to hold the reels in place, and I'm going to make sure that this flange on the bottom of the spindle is down, in the downward position. That helps to make sure that no light can enter the tank. So I'm going to take the spindle, thread it up through the middle of the reel, and to keep the reel from moving up or down, or to keep it from shifting during development, I'm going to put, even though I only have one film to develop, I'm going to put a dummy or an empty reel on top of there, just to keep it in position. I'm going to drop it straight down into the tank, and then I'm going to put the light-proof baffle, the cap, back on, and give it a good twist until I feel it snap into position. And now, if I needed to, I could actually bring this back out into daylight, or if I was using a changing bag, I could open up the bag. This is light tight now. Even without this cap on, this is a light tight container, and I now have the film successfully on the reels, and I'm ready to move to the next step, processing the film.